Hey, what is up, guys? It is Slick or Slick Muff here, back again for the second time with Gavin back again on the channel. We're going to be talking about Spider-Man PS4 versus Batman Arkham and the Batman Arkham versus Spider-Man PS4 comparison series. In this video, we're going to be talking about the open world of both of these games. So, Spider-Man PS4 has created what is probably the largest open world in superhero video game history. Previous Spider-Man games have had access to more than just one island, which we only had in this game, but it's just so well fleshed out. I don't know it to be an empirical fact, but I'm just going to say that it's definitely much bigger than Arkham Knight and much bigger than Insomniac's previous game, Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah, Spider-Man 3 definitely felt a lot bigger just because the swinging was so slow, but considering that New York and Spider-Man PS4, according to Insomniac, is 4 times bigger than Sunset Overdrive, I'd be willing to believe that.
Absolutely. So we're going to be comparing the open world and honestly just the world of the games that we're looking at here. So the Batman Arkham games compared to Spider-Man PS4. You know, we can talk about the open world and sort of free roaming, but we can also talk about the atmosphere, the environment that the games create, and how well they sort of create the atmosphere and immerse you in the world of the game. So, Spider-Man PS4 is the most recent on our minds. What are some of the strengths and weaknesses you see in the Spider-Man PS4 open world?
There are no weaknesses.
None. None.
No, yeah.
I have a few that I can say.
Yeah, no, there are a couple of gripes that I have overall, but I think Insomniac has really accomplished something great here by creating something that hasn't really existed as much in the other superhero games beforehand, and creating kind of a living, breathing New York in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, you know, of course, you're going to be swinging around and stuff like that, and you've got the skyscrapers, and that's, you know, really great for traversal and swinging, but then once you hit the street, just kind of the different ways that you see the AI interacting with each other. You've got your regular people walking back and forth to work. You've got people pulling out their phones whenever it's raining. I don't know if you noticed, but they'll actually pull out umbrellas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You head to a park, you see people doing yoga classes. You head to a rooftop, you see what Nintendo tried to advertise for the Nintendo Switch. People having rooftop parties for some reason with a DJ and everything. But yeah, it's just a really great atmosphere, and it kind of really just sets the tone overall for the type of Spider-Man story that this is.
Yeah, one of the things that I do like about it is actually once you defeat the game and you're able to switch between day and night cycles. I thought that was really good. Obviously, a daytime cycle wouldn't work in Arkham Knight, although there is a brief moment in the Batman Arkham games where you can play it during the day. It's when you walk into the Joker's lair. It's like daytime. It's like 9 a.m.
Or you mean it's like Batman's lab where he has the...
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. At Panessa Studios, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Anyway, so I'm going to point out...
Nightwing's DLC also takes place during the
You're
day.
You're right.
But just in the main game.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I do like that aspect about Spider-Man PS4, but if I'm going to be completely honest with you, when I'm swinging through Spider-Man PS4, it feels a little bit like deja vu. And what I mean by that is that there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of variation between some of the street corners. I feel like there's never these moments where there's like a lot of traffic like there would be in New York. There's never moments where there is like parties going on in the streets. There is some interactivity there going on with like the yoga class that, you know, I've seen that going on. That stuff is good. I wish there was more of that, is what I'm saying. I wish that we could see like street parties going on. I wish that we could see when it's late at night, like people, you know, coming home when they're like wasted and like there's parties going on in the street. And, you know, sometimes, like I said, it's just deja vu insofar as I feel like I'm swinging through the same part of the city over and over again. And the only difference is like the color of the skyscrapers.
Really, I felt like all of the districts in themselves felt very distinct. Overall, I mean, maybe, you know, a couple of them, depending on where they were located throughout the city, looked kind of similar. But, like, you know, downtown where all the skyscrapers were, you know, obviously that was very distinct from if you were to, say, go to, like, Harlem or Hell's Kitchen or something like that. I felt that they were different enough to be recognizable, especially with, like we mentioned in the side missions video. Whenever you have that one side mission where you're just relying on a photograph of some point in the city, and you have to recognize that and go to it. I thought that was kind of a testament to how well the variety was implemented into the open world.
So I'm not saying that the world itself is not recognizable or that there's not distinct parts of it. What I mean by like the deja vu part is really the monotony of the AI. In that it seems like it's kind of like the traffic patterns are the same. There's no moments where like, what about at rush hour is supposed to be backed up? And I noticed that the Batman Arkham games, the city is notoriously lifeless because there's only bad guys there. So there's an explanation for that. There's no explanation why New York City, at like the height of rush hour, has just like normal traffic patterns and people just walking on the street. But I think that they could have done a little bit better programming some unique moments like we have in Grand Theft Auto.
I think that might have more to do with technical limitations than anything else. Because then, you look at the street and it may not be realistic. I guess the most, realistic, I mentioned it earlier, Spider-Man 3, where you could see 16 taxis in a row.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know, but I feel like it kind of gives the city more personality whenever everything's more spaced apart. It's, as far as, the people and cars are concerned. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now, I'm going to say one thing that I think is an absolute advantage for the Batman Arkham games in this category. And for me, it's the immersion aspect of the world. So we can look at Arkham Asylum, where the asylum is just gorgeous. It's, in the dead of night, that massive moon that's a signature in the Arkham games. Yeah. It's unrealistic, but it's amazing. It's immersive. It really just immerses you in the game. I have no other adjective for it, really.
Yeah, it really does. It really does apply to the character very well. Like, you mentioned the massive moon and asylum, or just a lot of the, again, I'm going with actual like world design with the architecture and stuff like that. But the Gothic architecture that is absolutely all over Arkham. It even goes more into the Arkham City and Arkham Knight. This is one area where I feel like Arkham Origins didn't really come out as strongly because they went for, I guess, more of the somewhat realistic area. Mm-hmm. You could say. Whereas with, Arkham Knight, and again, this is because of technical advantages, they were able to just go, completely all out. All the, skyscrapers, they look like Gotham. It doesn't look like Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing that I wish about Arkham Knight is that the city was actually expanded to be something of the size of Spider-Man PS4, and I imagine if technical limitations, they advance every year, they would be able to do that a little bit more so today. But if I'm going to be honest, to me, when I look at the maps, it's Arkham Knight versus Spider-Man PS4. I think that it's a classic question of quantity versus quality, because when I look at the Arkham Knight 3 islands, there's the land area is not as big, but they're a lot more detailed. It's richer. There's a lot more Easter eggs at every section.
Oh, definitely.
We have those Metropolis posters, Superman posters, and we have all kinds of great stuff. So they definitely did a great job of filling that world with a lot of immersive things. But even going back to Asylum and City, I mean, I have to think that the world, they mastered it from the very beginning. And it really, it's transportative because it's that immersive. And, you look at City, I love how there's different parts of the city. This is actually just a section of Gotham that they've put a fence around, really, is all that it is. So there's, this massive church that the Joker and Harley Quinn have control over. There's the steel mill, Siona Steel Mill. And there's a lot of distinct areas within the map, and more than anything else, it really makes you believe that you're in Gotham. Not to say that Spider-Man PS4 doesn't do that.
And that's a big compliment that I can give to Spider-Man PS4 as well, is that they can, like through the design, you feel like you're in Marvel's New York. Like, whenever I'd gone to MJ's apartment for one of the missions, I just jumped down to the street, and I looked on my left, and down the street was the Sanctum Sanctorum from Doctor Strange.
Yep.
And then close to Otto Octavius' lab, if I'm not mistaken, is the Wakandan embassy.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you have, obviously, the massive Avengers Tower as well.
I think it's actually the tallest building in the game.
I think it is.
Well,
the Freedom Tower, I don't know, they had licensing issues with that. Did you know that?
I did know that, but what's interesting is that they ended up using an alternate blueprint for the building from like 2005.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's pretty interesting.
Interesting, yeah. So, we've discussed this a good bit. Where do you land on this discussion? Ultimately, if you're looking at the world and the open world really as a whole, I mean, clearly a size advantage goes to Spider-Man. The technical advantage does go to Spider-Man, and also just the sheer quantity of material there. But where do you land on this?
It is very close.
I'll give you my opinion if you're undecided. Yeah. I am going to go with the Batman Arkham games here. And this is something that, I can understand if you disagree. I think it's very easy to disagree with me here.
I think I'll actually lean that way. Just because of, like you said, the amount being put into such a small area.
I think you're right. And they just did such a great job of fleshing out that world. Also, you do have, in Arkham Knight, the Batmobile, which is a great way that's a little bit more on the traversal side of things. But we can talk about how the map is designed not only for grapple, swinging, gliding, whatever Batman does, I don't know, and also the driving. So it's sort of a twofold design challenge, and I think they did a very good job at doing both of those. There's some tight side roads that you can drive along, and once again, having the district with Wayne Tower, having the industrial district, having Panessa Studios, and you can see this is where people used to live. It's quite obvious, and it's just packed full of Easter eggs. And more than anything else, to me, what it does is it really sells me that I'm living in that world. And it's a little bit more challenging to make you believe that you're in Gotham, because New York City is a real place. Gotham isn't.
Yeah.
And certainly a place this apocalyptic, broken down, dilapidated as we see in the maps of Arkham Knight and Arkham City. And Arkham Asylum probably does the best job of the immersive question that I'm looking at. But, it's not to say that Spider-Man PS4 doesn't do a great job, but I think that, the Arkham games edge it out just barely.
Yeah, it really comes down to a question of how well does this open world fit the character that we're looking at. I think Spider-Man PS4 is perfect for, Spider-Man. But I think a lot of the groundbreaking work that went into the Arkham games, especially with City, I think out of all of them, City and Night kind of fight for my favorites. But as we talked about with side missions, in Arkham Knight, they can feel kind of grindy, so I kind of lean towards City.
Yeah, I mean, the world that they built in City, what I love about it, too, is that each distinct area you can associate with a villain. So Joker, Scion of Steel Mill, you have the museum with Penguin. And, the city courthouse with Two-Face, and you have these different sectioned off areas. And if you're interested in that sort of
the courthouse
story,
belongs to Calendar Man now.
Oh, you're right. Very good. But he's in the basement. He doesn't count.
Yeah.
He's just locked in there. Anyway, so if you're interested in this, there's the prequel comics for Arkham City actually talk about this and how they came upon it. For instance, Joker's U-boat was in. He had this like submarine, and Batman blew it up. And then the Joker had to swim, and the first place that he swam to was the Scion of Steel Mill, and that's how the comic ends. And he's just like, "Oh, this is a good place to land."
Did you say this was the Arkham City? Arkham City prequel
yes,
comic?
There is one Arkham City prequel comic graphic novel. Most of them occur like during the continuity, but there is one that's
I think I actually have that one. I'll have to reread it.
It's very good.
Yeah.
It's very good. I recommend it. So you kind of figure out how this world becomes so levied out in Civil War, and I think that it's very, very interesting, and they did a great job of fleshing that world out. So Gavin, once again, thanks for coming on the channel, man. I really appreciate it.
No problem, dude.
I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and stay tuned for the next episode. I'll put the updated score here at the end of this video. I'm recording them a little bit out of order, so I don't know exactly what it is right now, but the tally will be there. Hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Give it a thumbs up. My name is Slickmoth. I'll see you guys in the next video.